chat up so I can see like the YouTube
Cool,
chat
yeah.
as well.
Sweet. Hopefully this will go through. One thing I like streaming on StreamYard versus like OBS is StreamYard doesn't have as much of a lag. Or at least it doesn't appear to. I say that and it's not refreshing yet, but it's like on OBS. Yeah, there it goes. Sweet. Okay, so yeah, on OBS, hopefully the quality straightens up there. My God, why do I look like I'm on a potato? Why is it so bad? What is happening with my quality? I mean, I guess it's for the audio. I guess it's for the audio anyway, but maybe that'll straighten up. I'm not sure what's going on with the camera quality here, guys. Sorry about that. I honestly have no idea. It looks perfect to me on my end on StreamYard, but let's see. Connection is unstable. If you're on Wi-Fi, try plugging into your own. I can't do that, so I'm not really sure what's happening there. Looks like I am froze. You know what? Let me. This might disconnect and reconnect. So I hope it doesn't because I built the entire thing around this live stream. So I can count how many pixels I see right now. All right, I'm gonna hold on 1 second. Let me try. Is it back? All right, so we're back here. But did it fix on the live stream? All right.
Yeah, you look better for me as well on StreamYard.
Okay. So hopefully it looks like it's clearing up a little bit. I don't really know. All right. We're just going to start anyway. Sorry if I look terrible. I'm not here to impress anybody with looks anyway. All right, cool. So what is going on, everybody? It wouldn't be a welcome back to the podcast without some sort of technical difficulties, I guess. I'll have to figure out what's going on with that. But today, getting these started back up. And, man, the chat is already going. Got some people watching. That's super cool, man. So thanks everybody for joining. I don't have a schedule for these, but I will be doing 1 or 2 a week. The stream looks and sounds fine. Awesome. But yeah, so today I asked on Twitter who people wanted to see, and there's a ton of people that people want to see. Not in that tweet necessarily. I'm not making myself sound more important than I am, but somebody mentioned Tiger here, and based on especially time zones, because I believe around your Twitter you're from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I figured that would be easy. I know people want to see Mally and stuff like that, but just the time zones and stuff, it takes a little bit more to prepare. But so yeah, I am here, and plus two, the whole MIA Refold Japanese thought perfect guest to jump back into the swing of things. So what is going on, man? If you want to do like a small little introduction or as long as you want, I don't really care. I talk longer than anybody. So feel free to introduce yourself. And I know you have a YouTube channel. I do have your YouTube channel and your Twitter down in the link or in the description below, so you guys can check that out as well. But yeah, feel free to introduce yourself and what's up, and we'll get started.
All right. So I'm Tiger, or Aaron, however you want to call me. It's fine, whatever. I've been learning Japanese using immersion for exactly 10 months today. And started, like most people, with anime. I'm sure we'll get into that. But yeah, I didn't do immersion from the beginning. So when I talk about like what I've done, it might sound like I'm way farther than I should be. And it's just because I didn't have to do like a lot of the boring beginning things that a lot of people have to do when they start immersing. So that's basically it for who I am. Just like Japanese.
Yeah, man. No, that sounds super cool. Where did hold on. Let me read some of this stuff because there are some people, and then I am going to get into this. Let's see. Let's go. USA here. USA. All right. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's where you're from. Hello. What's up, Daniel Anthony? Ethan, Tiger screen and audio are good. The stream looks and sounds fine. Yo. Characters. Nice shirt. Yes. Not for me. I know people rag on my shirts all the time. Look, I'm sorry. Like, I have a specific set of t-shirts that I enjoy, especially being a bigger guy. And even like this is from like, whereas I can't even see myself because I'm in like these little holes. It's from my cats, man. And like I pick my cats up and I hold them, and if they tear my shirt, I'm not gonna throw it away because there's a couple. Good God, I can't concentrate on. I'm not gonna throw them away because there's a couple, but then they're super comfy. So anyway, so yes, nice shirt. That is a cool shirt.
Yeah, I got it before MIA disappeared.
Did he redo those shirts with the Refold name on it?
I'm not sure.
Need to check into that. Look who's back. What's up, Mark? Language come up. So what's the topic of the stream? That's the beauty of the podcast. We don't know. That's where I differ from anybody else who does interviews and stuff. Well, maybe not anybody, but I don't really have a itinerary, whatever.
We'll just see where it goes.
Yeah. How much kanji do you know? Okay, well let's just get into that. How much kanji do you know? Let's just jump right into the hard stuff. How much kanji do you know?
It's a great question because I have no clue. I can read, and that's basically all I know. That's a boring answer, but I never did RTK or RRTK because before immersing, I did Wanikani for a good amount of time, but I learned like next to nothing, I'd say, in terms of actual Japanese ability. So I don't know how much kanji I know. I can read like books, light novels. So I know enough, I guess, so far, but there's still a lot that I don't know. So I can't put a number to it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. That's a hard. That's kind of it's a hard thing to honestly kind of answer.
Yeah.
Same thing with me. I couldn't tell you how many. I did do RTK, but again, I'm kind of like you. I had exposure to Japanese prior to starting the MIA / now Refold methodology of learning. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard, and it's also kind of arbitrary because kanji. Knowing a kanji doesn't necessarily it doesn't mean that you know all the contexts that it's used in.
So there's a lot of different readings. Like, it's crazy the amount that you can find.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's so many different ways to write things, or anything like that. So there's stuff that I'll look up on. I use an app on my phone it's just called Japanese. It's a red box, and it's a Japanese dictionary, and you'll look stuff up, and it'll tell you, but then it'll be like almost always written in kana. But if you see the kanji, this is it. So it's like it's kind of all over the place.
Gotta love those.
Okay. I want to know where the name Tiger came from.
This is okay. So a while ago, like years ago, I used to speedrun video games. So like just trying to beat games as fast as possible. And there was a guy before I started. His name was Fearful Ferret. And I was like, that sounds like a cool name. He just took a word and then an animal. And I'm like, all right, animal, tiger. All right, word, hypothetical. And then I just put them together, and that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, I dig it.
Stuck.
Yeah, no, I dig that. I think that's cool. Mine was just my last name, and then I knew that I wanted to speak languages, so I was like, I'll slap. But I guess it has that, the same beginning sound, and I like that. So
it is nice. I like it.
All right, Alex Trotman says, topic suggestion, the rising golden age of polyglots. All right, we can discuss that, but I want to get into a little bit more Japanese first. Second question is favorite language family. We can touch on that. What's your favorite language family? Also, this can branch into are you a language learning fan, or are you more so just into Japanese?
Just in the Japanese. I keep thinking like, sometimes it comes up like, would I learn another language after I get good at Japanese? But I'm too much of a perfectionist to probably ever stop with Japanese to like even put enough time into another language. So it'll probably just be Japanese.
I gotcha.
But I think learning languages is cool. I just don't think I could do it besides getting good at one.
Right. I mean, I see what you're saying. And I think a lot of times people will get into it for one, and then they will pop into, like, once they do that, that kind of opens the floodgates a little bit.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But at the same time, I mean, there's plenty of people who love to, study just a language for the sake of that, not even because of loving language learning as much as the content that you're trying to consume. My favorite language family is actually the that whole Norse Scandinavian area.
Oh, okay.
Like, I love all of that, which is hilarious because I don't study those. But that's my favorite. So I love like Swedish and Norwegian and stuff like that.
Nice.
So all right. I know JLPT doesn't matter, but what's a rough estimate of what JLPT level you are?
I mean, so I've gone through the N5, N4, and N3 Tango decks. So I'd say I could probably at least pass N3 because I feel like my grammar's good enough. maybe N2 if I'm lucky, but I would say N3 just to be like safe. I don't want to like say that I'm much better than I am.
No, I gotcha. I gotcha. Is that something that also again forget anybody who's watched Tiger here? Like I told him I watched his 9-month update earlier today, so I am going to go back and watch your like other content because I love seeing the journey of people. But I don't know if you've discussed it in your past videos or not. But is the JLPT anything that is of interest to you, or are you more so just wanting to consume media and stuff like that?
Kind of. I do want to try to work in Japan one day. So because of that, the JLPT kind of becomes a necessity. But
Right.
I know most people stop at N2 because it's considered like business Japanese. But for some reason, I just have a goal of getting a really high score on the N1. Like I'm not going to study for it until like maybe a couple months before whenever I decide to take it. But I do want to get like a nice score on the N1 to feel a little accomplished.
Yeah, no, it sounds like and I think that's the thing for me. Like the GLPT doesn't seem like a bad idea. Like I've always said that I don't have any interest in taking a GLPT test except for the N5, and that's solely so I can say I took a test in Japanese and passed it. Like that's the core. Yeah, just that's the core goal that I have there. So, what kind of oh, it's 3 a.m. in Europe. It's 9 a.m. It's 9 p.m. here, New York time. I say New York. I'm in Virginia and he's in Pennsylvania. But, did you try Output yet?
Yes, only within the last month. I have like multiple Japanese people I know, but there's one girl who I've been talking to for like the last month. Every day we've been messaging. We've called on the phone sometimes. My speaking is absolutely garbage. But when we're like messaging through text, it's not too bad. I can usually say what I want to say without too many giant mistakes that I can notice, but it's still definitely not where I want it to be or super natural yet.
Yeah, but when she's talking to you, you probably have a pretty solid understanding.
Yeah,
Right.
it's most of the time. It's very rare that I have to even like check a dictionary when we're texting. When we're on the phone, sometimes I have to ask her to say something again, but mainly it's all pretty simple stuff that I can just grasp right away.
Okay. See, I've always thought that would be kind of a more like, I do want to speak. That is a huge goal. I've had conversations about this recently with some people about how my goal overall is to communicate with people. However, I do think that given the situation, like for example, if I was in Japan, I would much rather understand 90% of it, but only be able to get myself like get the idea out, maybe 20 to 30% of how it's supposed to be versus maybe even only understand 50% of what's happening and be completely lost all the time.
Yeah, if you can't understand, it's like it doesn't matter if you can whatever you can output. If you can't understand it, you're kind of lost.
Yep. All right, let's see. Starting a language is my meth. I agree. I think anybody that's watched my channel for longer than a year, like before I started Japanese, knows that is my drug addiction as well. Thoughts on Asimil plus Anki? Have you used Asimil or anything?
No clue what Asimil is.
Okay, yeah, it's basically like a phrase. I hate to say phrase book because it's not like just that, but it'll be like these little chunks of dialogue, and then the audio to go with it. So you kind of just learn through. It's almost like learning through conversation, but I don't know. It's kind of I dabbled in Asimil for Chinese for just a brief bit. For Mandarin Chinese, and it seems okay, but I feel like you would have to be incredibly dedicated to that. So, Tokyo the Mad Ajatter says, "What was the most difficult aspect of your language journey?" That's a great question.
Well, it's not over yet, so there probably will be more difficult stuff. But I think probably I struggled with this a lot like before my 9-month mark, but now I'm kind of used to it. If any feelings come up, there was a lot of and I mean a lot of doubt. Like even if I was getting better, it was like, oh, I'm never gonna get good. I'm never gonna be able to understand this or this. But the more you deal with it, the more you kind of get used to it, and you're just like, and then the next day you just get back into it and just wait till it passes. So I'm kind of over that stuff now. Sometimes doubts still come up, but I think doubting yourself and like just how far you have to go is probably one of the hardest parts. At least for me, it has been.
Yeah. I think The hardest part that I've had, maybe, and I don't know if you can relate or have anything to go with this, but especially doing YouTube, man, comparing yourself to others, even if you like,
Yep.
you can say that you're not going to, and it's honestly not even that you're trying to. But even today, when I was listening to your 9-month update from last month, I was just like, mother, what in the world am I doing? You know, like, and it's not like I'm actively being like, this guy's better than Japanese than me, which because whether anybody is or not, that's completely subjective based on whatever you're talking about. But it's like, you see that stuff, and it's hard not to just let that creep in your mind a little bit.
Yeah, I've definitely gone through my share of comparing myself to people. I still do it. Like you said, even without trying. So you just see someone who's better than you, and and you're like, oh, cool, great.
Yeah.
Wish I was there.
Yeah, that's how. Anytime I ever watch, even when Matt is, I mean, well, not even when, because most of his videos are uploaded in English, but even just listen to him speak English, I'm just like, this dude's Japanese is so good.
I definitely understand that.
All right, let me see here, man. You guys are blowing the chat up. I appreciate it a lot, man. I did not real. I mean, I know I said that I was going to start these again, but it's a little later than what I anticipated. But I really appreciate everybody. Let's see. A. Mosley says this might be self-explanatory, but how do you learn languages through immersion without looking up what the word means? Oh, this is probably to me because I talk about how I've struggled because you look up or you sentence mine.
Oh yeah, I look up words a lot.
Yeah, so I actually talked to Tiger a little bit before the stream about that. I'm gonna make a video on this, and I'm not saying I wasted the last year, but there's a lot of stuff I could have done differently because I could be a lot farther ahead of where I am had I been a little bit more looking stuff up. I do look stuff up. Just not as much as I should. And what I mean by that is I'm not saying you should look up a word every sentence, but like there's days where I'll just watch crap almost just to watch it and let it kind of soak in that I don't look anything up. So I'm going to make a video on that and I'll touch on that stuff. Once you know the Nordic languages, you can understand the other ones. Yeah, they are. I've always heard Norwegian is the kind of the neutral language there. If you learn Norwegian, you can understand Swedes and Danes pretty well. Continuation of the ASIMO question. The ASIMO Spanish course I have has a USB drive with native speaker audio for every sentence. I use Anki to turn every sentence into a flashcard. That's a really good idea. To be honest, that'd be a good way of sentence mining. Just going through and seeing the sentences that are, +1, target 1. I need to read Refold. I don't know what we're calling these words anymore, but +1 sentences and kind of go from there. What's an unpopular opinion you have? It can be Japanese / language related or just in general.
I'll make it Japanese related because it was the first thing I thought of when I read that question. I don't know if any of you guys have seen the anime Fooly Cooly. A lot of people like it. I think it's one of the worst pieces of media I've ever consumed in my entire life.
I have a friend that really digs Fooly Cooly, and he's always trying to get me to watch it.
Stand it.
Yeah,
it was not a fun time.
I mean, my unpopular opinion is I don't like anime. That's always That's always the. I try, man. What is your favorite anime? Or like, what are you currently watching or anything like that?
Currently, I'm watching a lot of the currently airing shows, but my favorite show of all time is probably Your Lie in April. It's really, really good. I recommend it. If anyone likes music, you'll enjoy Your Lie in April.
Do you watch like live action stuff, like dramas and movies, or do you pretty much just watch anime?
Sometimes I get it. Sometimes I get into moods. I've started like 4 or 5 dramas that I've made like halfway through and I've not finished because I just go like, all right, drama. And then I'm like, but anime. And then I go back to anime. So it really depends, but I'll watch anything.
I gotcha. I mean, if I don't mention Kantaro, the Sweet Tooth Salary Man.
I started watching that because of you. I watched like 4 or 5 episodes.
That show rules, man. That's one of my favorite. Mark says, I really like Asimo Russian. Okay, I didn't know. I don't think I knew that you used that. Maybe I did. Maybe I forgot. That's cool. I need to. The problem with Asimo is it's a French book. So in English, there's not everything. But for example, like Vietnamese, they have, but it's only in the French because it is a French like publication.
That's
Yeah. Do you watch Japanese? I say that as an American, like where literally every resource known to man is in English. Like, and I'm just like, you guys, you have your assy melon. I hate that. Do you watch Japanese TV without subtitles?
If you mean like any like Japanese TV show type thing, I don't watch like Japanese TV that's on TV, like the variety shows that much. But usually when I'm watching like dramas or anime, I'll switch between no subtitles or Japanese subtitles. Really depends on how I feel on the day.
Gotcha. But your understanding percent, like when you can understand a solid chunk of it. I guess it depends on the subject matter.
Yeah.
Probably.
If I have subtitles on, like it's pretty easy to understand like what's going on. There's obviously going to be holes, but it's not like I don't really have to think too much to get what's going on in the story. Without subtitles, my comprehension drops. But because I've been watching a lot more without subtitles, it's been getting up slowly and slowly. So both are fine. Obviously, the subtitles are more fun because I can understand more, but both are pretty good.
Have you so like, and I'm assuming you're just over time, your brain has just gotten used to like the grammar, like the weird construct of sentences for an English speaker.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that when I first learned about it, I had like no clue how I would like get it down because I would see it and I would have to think about it for like 5 seconds and barely get like the meaning. And now like most of those things that used to be really hard are just they click now. And I don't know when they started clicking, but all of a sudden they click.
They just clicked. Yeah.
Immersion really, really does like help a lot. I cannot stress that enough.
Yeah, and that's why I think like even though that I've kind of made some flubs over the last year, if nothing else came out of that, I did grow a little bit of vocabulary, not near as much as I would have liked. Again, my own fault. But the amount of time that I've spent immersing over the last year, at some point is going to pay off because I can hear I can't hear it perfect, but man, I can hear Japanese so much more clear than a year ago. So regardless,
any bit helps.
Yeah. See, do you watch? I'm using Remembering the Hanzu right now, Hanzu, and it seems to work. It just sucks that you learn stomach before to go. Yeah. Well, especially with Chinese because like a lot of the words aren't actually like for example in Japanese you would say like not you don't have to but like they have like pasokon for personal computer and computer but in Chinese it's like dianying which is like electric brain so you're learning words for computer but you're actually having to learn the literal meaning of that so I think that might make it a little bit harder. The updates are great. High key recommend.
Thanks.
On the previous topic of JLPT, at least into N1 levels, it's basically a second college degree. So like every immersionist should take it.
Yeah, I'll do it one day.
Yeah, I mean, because you're right. If you go to Japan, Japan's pretty crazy about some stuff when it comes to like foreigners coming over there. And I know, I mean, if you want to work there and stuff, they don't mess around. Like you have to definitely got to do some stuff like that. Where am I at? I'm losing track. There we go. Oh no, here we go. I was actually I meant to say word instead of language. Oh, how do you learn a word? That was your I can't find your okay.
I think it was about learning
word. Yeah. So honestly, kind of the idea is, and I've done this with several. You can't really think of an example because of it's kind of just something that you do. But a lot of time, like when I watch stuff, I watch Netflix with learn languages with Netflix, and a lot of times when I go through a sentence, especially if it's something that's not a sentence that I understand a majority of, I'll still just hover over and kind of look up that word just to gloss over it. So maybe in the future, if it comes up again, it'll just almost accidentally become a part of my vocabulary. Yeah,
because you already have like a little bit of it.
Yeah, because you've already been exposed to it and you've looked it up. Of course, the problem with that is, again, with Japanese, you don't get the context. So, for example, like atamagai desu, like that's a whole different thing of like you're smart, but it's like your head is good. But so you can learn that it's like head is good, but like you don't actually get the context. So I mean, can, I guess, backfire a little bit, but still. Let's see. We're High Rise Invasion on Netflix is good. Just don't watch it around kids.
I started that. Yeah, that one definitely don't watch around kids.
It's an anime. I presume it's an anime.
Yeah.
How would you theoretically do immersion with Spanish? The big thing for that, and I don't speak Spanish to any form of degree of fluency. I can navigate in Spanish just a touch, like survivalist, so I wouldn't take my word for it. But I would say, and I'm sure there's people on like the Refold servers and stuff that could absolutely give you way better advice than me. But I would say pick your dialect and then watch stuff from there. Because the problem with Spanish is dialects can change a lot of vocabulary and just little nuances of it. So if you specifically want to learn Mexican Spanish and then you're watching a show from Colombia or a show from Spain or a show from, I don't know, Argentina, like it's all going to be slightly different. So I would say whatever country's specific dialect you're wanting to learn, try to find, and you can find lists. There's all kinds of lists online of Spanish shows and what country they are from. That way you can kind of get through there. Hey Tiger, for some reason this is like super. I don't know if this is because I'm a dad and like maybe I'm just at that level of terrible and stupid humor, but like I read that and it reminded me of like a dad talking to his kid. And like, oh, hey Tiger, like
I can definitely see that.
Hey Tiger, have you ever seen Plastic Memories? If you have, how do you feel about the ending?
I have not seen it, but I've heard of it, but I haven't watched it.
I have not heard either. I need to, like, always feel bad, man. People always talk about anime and stuff, and I'm always just like, I have no earthly idea what you're talking about. So maybe sometime down the road, but also with currently airing anime, Sokoani podcast covers currently airing anime. It's very good. Okay.
I've heard of that before.
Interesting. Let's see. Thoughts on using mnemonics, memory techniques like memorizing places, location, method, or yeah. Do you use mnemonics? My brain shut down for a second.
Never have. I can see why they help people, but I just brute force it. If it's not sticking, I wait till it does.
Yeah. So I think that the argument for mnemonics is it can help you because you know, again, that's the whole point of it, right? You're like, let's see, I don't even know if I can think of an example right off. Like, I honestly cannot think of an example. Okay, let's say like face is like cow. Like, so like you could say like, I don't know, somehow you could make that work, like the face of a cow, like that kind of thing. Yeah. But the argument against mnemonics is that becomes the way that you have to memorize that. So as you're speaking, you're like, oh man, my face of a cow is sort of like, and you can slowly transition away from that. But I've heard a lot of people talk about, like once they learn it through a mnemonic like that, like it's hard to actually get that out of your. So when you're actually speaking the language, you're trying to remember that mnemonic versus trying to speak the language.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening.
Jonathan, have you ever heard of TDCS, transcranial direct current stimulation? No, not in the slightest. I have no clue. No clue what that is.
Me either.
If you could redo your journey, what things would you change?
Oh, that's a good question. I was thinking about this earlier. Number one, this is also like my advice to like anyone when it comes to Anki. Don't treat, most people know don't treat Anki like it's the end all be all, but really you can be sloppy if you want with Anki. Like I'm in and out of Anki in 10 minutes every day, and I still learn 10 words a day, and I have like over 100 reviews to do. But literally all Anki is, you see a word, you see a meaning. If you kind of got it, but you weren't sure, just hit good. It's not the end of the world. You'll see it again in immersion, and you'll see it again in Anki eventually. So just be fast with Anki. Don't spend too much time in it because it's not where you're going to learn anything, even if it feels like it. That
Yeah.
and read a lot earlier. I read early, like within my first week, I started reading manga, but that's because of my prior knowledge. But even before that, I think reading raw text early, even if it's really hard, is probably a good idea. Because I finished my first light novel, I want to say around my 6th month mark, maybe earlier. Might have been earlier, but I think I could have done it a lot sooner if I just tried it, but I was too scared. But once I got into it, it was really bad for the beginning. But by the end, I was like getting the story and having a lot of fun. So I think reading raw text earlier and just get in and out of Anki as fast as possible are two things I want to redo.
Yeah. Well, it's actually a good point. And I think that kind of can branch into the importance of sentence mining. Not that I'm the one to talk, freaking Mr. Start and Stop over here, but because you're right, you will see it in immersion, because if you're sentence mining, that card came directly from your immersion. So it's not like a random card. So that's a very, very, very good point. And I do think that I know that myself, I did this in the beginning. Like you get so, like if you remember it and it's like you only kind of remember it, you're just like, all right, I'm filling it because I need to see it again. But realistically, especially on the common words, man, like even if you're studying the Tango deck, like that is a list of like the 1,200 most common words. So you're going to see it again. You know, once you get further down, maybe not, you know, if you're learning the word for like, I don't know, spark plug or something, maybe, you know, but again, if you're learning the word for spark plug, odds are you're probably watching something about cars and you will see that regularly.
Means you've seen it already at least once. So.
Yeah. Like I would not even learn spark plug because cars I don't understand. So I mean, all right, let's see here. The funny thing is that, from my understanding, Japanese can have many different pronunciations for one character. Yes. Oh, yes. While in Chinese, there are many different characters for the same pronunciation. Yeah, in Chinese, so like there are characters that can have different pronunciations. I can't think of any right off because I don't know that much Chinese. But there are some characters that do have a little bit of a different pronunciation depending on what it's with, but it's not, at least in my very small dabbling of Chinese, it's not near as bad as Japanese. Because if you get a character in Japanese that only has one pronunciation, you're like praising the gods, like, oh my Lord, thank you. So,
and even then, sometimes they have like really obscure pronunciations that you never see except for like once.
All right. Currently learning Chinese and also did remembering the Hanzo. I'm grateful I did it since I can understand the bigger context of things. Japanese level is now at JLPT. So knowing Japanese is definitely going to help. There, when I again learning a little bit of Chinese, like for example, I know they use the same, like atarashi is the same symbol for new in Chinese. I can't tell you how to say that symbol, but like when I would see stuff, I knew that something was new just because I could read the symbol. So that is a big help. No, what's that? I'm not sure. I'm assuming that's probably to the TDC. Okay. Hello, what is up, Wanya? Welcome to the stream. What other ways do you think you can learn kanji effectively without using Anki? Read. I mean,
that's what I was thinking.
Brute force, just go. Because people, you got to think, man. Like, and here's always when people are like, you have to use Anki, right? Like, I'm sure you doing YouTube and making updates, I'm sure somebody has left a comment about Anki at some point. It's just the nature of the beast, especially uploading Japanese videos and especially uploading MIA/Refold updates. Like somebody's going to mention Anki.
Yeah.
You guys have to understand. People have been learning whatever religion belief you have, whatever, if you don't have whenever you believe the world started, whether it be 6,000 years ago, whether it be 2.5 billion years ago, whatever it is that you believe, people have been learning languages since that day.
Didn't have Anki back then.
Anki did not exist. So like it's just one of those things. I know Steve Kaufman talked about just old school flashcards, just writing them down and boom, popping out 10 or 20 a day until he just learned how many over 1,000 he learned. Well, he did for Chinese. I'm not sure about his Japanese, but I assume it's probably in the same general manner. But also, once you know Chinese, it can branch into Japanese easier. So, yeah, I think, I mean, outside of reading, and especially getting something, okay, so I'm going to sound like a shill here, and I'm not, but Satori Reader, that's an app and a website, has all these curated articles. It's not like, and I'm not trashing Link because they're two completely different programs, because Link is, you can import stuff, which is incredible. Satori Reader is, everything is curated, like everything is made by writers specifically for Japanese and Japanese, and they have the kanji, and you can actually set it up by your kanji level, so it only introduces kanji that you know, that way you can practice those, but you can also set it up to the way it would just read to natives. But the thing is, they have furigana for all of it.
That's nice.
So if you really wanted to read, you could read, and there's native audio reading it, and that way you can just literally read, see the furigana, and slowly turn that furigana off and pick it up that way.
I have an opinion on furigana that I don't know if people would agree with, but I always hear that a lot of people say, don't read too much furigana because you'll become reliant on it. I think you can become reliant on it, but I read a lot of manga. I'm at 240 volumes of manga, and a lot of manga have furigana, but I can still read light novels and stuff without too much of an issue. I think it just, if you're reading with furigana, at least focus on the kanji rather than just the reading. Yeah. But I think you can learn a lot of kanji even with furigana. I think people scare themselves off of reading like manga or stuff because they're afraid they'll never learn the actual reading. But if you're actually paying attention to the character, things do stick if you see it enough.
Yeah, I mean it's the same thing in in English, for example, like I know that we don't have symbols or whatever you want to call them, characters and whatnot, but you have to think about like the different sounds different letters make, and we've learned that in a specific pattern it sounds a certain way. And you get used to that. And the same thing that happens in kanji, you'll see the furigana, but as long as you're concentrating on the kanji, you're eventually going look, you can't do that. If you read the same word 100 times a day for a couple of days, there's no way you wouldn't remember what it was, just because of the sheer repetition of it going into your brain.
Yeah, eventually it's gonna stick as long as you're seeing it enough.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's for sure my thought on it. Mnemonics, for example, to learn espresso, the word for business in Spanish, I imagine an empress commanding officer workers to work hard inside a kitchen cabinet. My computer. There we go. Okay. Whatever work. I mean, I'm not here to tell anybody how to do stuff. If that works, do it. I mean, I would be lying if I said that I haven't used mnemonics before. I absolutely have. TDCS uses a low voltage of electricity passed through. What has this podcast become? TDCS uses low voltage of electricity passed through a person's head and excites the neurons to fire faster and easier and makes you learn 2 times faster. DARPA has done studies on it and it works. I know that everybody likes the idea of learning super fast. Again, if you've watched my channel for longer than a year, you know that I'm all about I used to be all about trying to learn languages as quick as possible. But man, now where I'm at, especially with Japanese, I'm just enjoying the journey, man.
It's so much fun.
It is. Like, I mean, sure, would it be cool to just flip on my TV right now and turn on like New Japan Pro Wrestling and watch something and understand it fully? I'm not saying it wouldn't be. But man, I also really like the process of learning. Like, I don't know, it's really weird. So I'm not
just
sure.
Like getting better is so nice. Like going from knowing nothing to like being able to like constantly see yourself like, oh, I learned that word like a week ago and now I got it. Like seeing that happen is just probably one of the best parts.
And I feel like that's a motivating factor too. You see that and you're like, oh crap, okay, I got to keep going.
Really helps
for sure. I mean, you know, if you had to go to Japan super quickly on a spur of a moment, I would say do that. But I'm not sure I would trust the. I don't know. I'm not sure I would do that. It sounds crazy though. I'm probably going to look that up. Not crazy like you're crazy tinfoil hat, but like that sounds wild. I guess I'll say. I'll look that up. I think using Anki as a way to differentiate words, not to memorize, is great. I hated Anki until I started using it for that.
Just get something in your head. That's basically all it is.
The way that when I started, my God, I just accidentally just clicked onto the page. I don't know why my camera looks like crap on my end, man. Like, it's so weird. I'm wondering if it's because it's going through StreamYard and through YouTube. It's insane. Yeah, well, when at the height of my immersion, like when I was doing like 40 hours every week, like for like 8 weeks in a row, I looked at Anki as just additional time to get immersion in. Well, I use immersion, but not technically immersion, but like active study. Like if I was, in a line at a grocery store, I could pop it open, go through 2 or 3 sentences, hear it, and kind of do that, versus the idea of actually trying to memorize it. And if something would pop up, because what I noticed is, especially with RTK, if I felt those cards all the time, then eventually it stuck. So I wasn't actually worried about, and I know everybody's like, show me your Anki stats, but like, I don't really think, because like, it may look like I'm failing a lot of cards, but just over the course of time, I just seeing it so much, you're just like, yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah, sometimes some things take way longer than others to actually stick.
Yeah, for sure. It allows you to learn practically anything twice as fast. Yeah, it sounds wild. Light novels seem hard to read if you don't know much kanji. That's a good topic. Yeah, light novels are like elementary novels, right? Like for elementary school students, kind of like Goosebumps, I would imagine.
It depends. Some are, but some are like, basically most times when people mention a light novel, it's kind of just a novel, but with like, it has a picture every like maybe 50 pages or every chapter. So some of them can be pretty difficult. But yeah, without kanji knowledge, light novels are difficult. But the good thing is there are a lot of like web novels that you can read, and you can use things like Yomi-chan and like use that, and it makes it 10 times easier. And some light novels do have furigana. It just, you got to look for like the right ones. Yeah, kanji is important when it comes to reading raw text.
Yeah. I actually left a comment on your channel earlier because somebody was asking about where to read manga. And have you ever used bilingual manga? I
did at the beginning. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's not obviously light novels, but if you're trying to get in, not that I'm the guy to talk to about reading, because that's, but I think it's cool. And like, that's a super easy transition of you click that button and boom, it's there, and you click it.
Yeah. It's really helpful.
That's really cool.
Definitely a good beginning resource.
Yeah. Yeah. If I still try to get into, I think the part of me that has trouble reading manga is also from the same part where I don't like anime that much. Like, I don't know. One day it's something just gonna click, man. I have watched a couple things that I thought was cool. Like I watched like The Devil is a Part-Timer. I thought that was pretty solid. It was real fun. I don't know exactly what was happening, but just kind of watching it for immersion and stuff. And I thought it was fun. Probably something else at some point. I watched a little bit of Psyche K, which I thought was also pretty fun. But my God, they speak so fast in that.
That's what I've heard about it. I haven't seen it yet or like read anything about it, but I know that like they speak really fast.
Dude, it's so quick, like for no reason at all. It's just so fast. All right, so let me see. Light novels seem hard. What kind of advice can you guys give to English learners? Is there anything that you guys notice non-English learners are lacking?
I'm not sure. I have a lot of friends who aren't native English speakers, but at this point I'm so used to their English, and they're really good at English too, so that I don't really even notice any mistakes if there are any.
Funny enough, I was thinking about making a video, or not making a video today, but I was thinking about making a video in the future. I was thinking about that today, about basically English learners think that learning another language is hard because of learning how to speak. Like you learn the idea of this textbook, but you're like, that's not how people speak. Well, but I think about things in English that we say all the time that aren't correct, but it's just the standard way that we speak. And you know what's implied, even though you're not saying it right or they're not saying it right. Biggest example is I could care less. I could care less implies that you actually could care even less about this, but you don't. Technically, it's supposed to be I could not care less.
Yeah.
So
we butcher the language a lot, and we all just know what it means.
Yeah, and so getting used to the way that people say things. Because honestly, if you said you're going to sound more native if you say it incorrectly,
yeah,
than if you say it correctly. Because if you say I couldn't care less, people would be like, oh, okay, because it's so common. Maybe not in Pennsylvania, but where I'm at in Virginia, man, I could care less. I could care
it's
less.
common here too.
That's all you hear. So I would say trying to learn stuff. I know that sounds ridiculous, saying to learn stuff incorrectly, but we say stuff. English is one of the most butchered languages. We speak in so much slang. Like there's, I couldn't even tell you the rules on half the crap that we say. But I mean, so much of what we say is wrong. I can't imagine how many things I've said wrong in the sentence that I've been talking about, explaining how wrong English is.
Exactly.
So I would just say, like, trying to pick up on the way the patterns. I know that Matt had talked about one time about in Japanese, like, what is it, amari, which is like a negative thing. It's supposed to be followed by like masen, like, or some, a
negative,
a negative. But he said, I think, and I would not hold me to this, but I'm pretty sure I remember him saying that, he had learned just over time, just with speaking with people, that they don't always use it with a negative, even though that's the textbook way. They don't always use it with a negative.
When you want to get like as good as a native speaker, you have to make the exact same mistakes a native speaker makes.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be crazy? You spend all this time learning a language and then you have to learn how to speak it incorrectly. Like,
it's so annoying.
Where you sound more native.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. I did kanji wrong the first time. Once I redid it, I was, okay, what just happened on my computer? Once I redid it, what is happening? Where's my brain at? Once I redid it, I was able to read light novels a lot easier. My question, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is kanji to the whole process of learning Japanese? I'm going to let you answer that, but I also have a very specific answer for that too.
I'd say it's probably, if you want to read, I'd say it's probably one of the most important things because of just how much you're going to have to know how to read it. So probably like an 8 or a 9, really. Like, without strong kanji knowledge, like going into a book will just be hell. Like, it will not be a fun time at all. I think it's really important.
So I think that it depends on what your goals are. If your goals are reading, absolutely. I think that if you are wanting to do videos like Moses, for example, I don't think kanji is important at all.
Yeah, you don't need any there then.
I know that I've seen arguments on Twitter and all over the place of people like, well, why would you waste time learning a language and be illiterate in that language? And honestly, I think it depends on what you want. If you just want to speak with people, I don't see the problem in that personally. And I mean, you don't, it's going to be hard for you to like look stuff up. If somebody says something and you're trying to type and then you're like, oh crap, I can't read the character. Is that what I'm looking up? But I don't think it's the end all be all, just depending on what your goals are. I do think personally, I've mentioned this a long time ago, and I don't know if you've had a similar kind of way with it, but once I learned kanji, I could memorize words, or kind of, I don't know if memorize is the right word. I absorbed words a lot easier because I was seeing them in their like raw form, the way that they are. I don't know if that makes any sense. Seeing that kanji, I think, helped me memorize words a little bit easier.
Once you get kanji down as looking at them as like characters, it's like learning new words becomes way easier. Like at the beginning, it sucks. You see a new kanji and you're like, oh, I got to see this one like 30 times. But now sometimes I see a kanji and then I can't forget it from then on.
Absolutely. I love the characters for concave and convex.
Those are nice.
Is it possible to write modern Japanese with only kanji? I've never studied Japanese, so no clue. I wouldn't imagine you would have to use hiragana at some point.
Probably use kanji a lot, but yeah, I'm not sure if there's a kanji character for everything.
Yeah. Especially like if you're talking about like the conjugation of verbs and stuff. Like I can't imagine there's a kanji character for like the double consonants and stuff. Like if you were like,
probably not
something like that. Even if it would be ineffective. Oh, okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying. I am having troubles, man. I'm just getting back into the swing of things, I guess. I got to head out, but one last question. Thoughts on using italki with cheap tutors to have conversation practice?
Go for it if you want. I want to use italki one day. Like before I go to Japan, I'm gonna go next year in May. I'm planning. So the months leading up, I'm gonna try to get a tutor and just like really like hammer output to get to a pretty decent level. So I'll probably use italki.
I think italki's fine. I wouldn't emphasize the cost of it. The benefit of Japanese over a lot of languages are it's one of the most highly sought after languages, and there are a ton of teachers. And even though you do have teachers that charge kind of an exotic language cost, so to speak, you're also going to have a lot of people that are very competitive. The guy that I used a while back was like, $10 an hour, which is to me incredibly cheap for a.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
But yeah, I don't think I would say, well, this guy costs 25 and this guy costs 15. The guy that's 25 is better. The cool thing about italki is they all have, most I've never seen one that doesn't have. I assume they all have like intro videos talking about themselves. They'll also have a bunch of information. So make sure you just find somebody that's doing what you specifically want, man. And I think you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, one more. Is it bad to talk about liking to learn languages, or should I keep it a secret in order to have an element of surprise on people that don't know you want to learn them? People know I'm into Spanish, but if I continue on with other languages to become a polyglot, should I do it in secret? That's kind of just on you.
Yeah, it depends what you want to do.
It depends.
My whole life at this point is like mostly Japanese, so it'd be very hard to keep it a secret from people.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong. Do whatever. Don't let anybody tell you what you should and shouldn't do. Like, don't worry about any. If you have friends and they're like, "Oh my God, you're a weirdo because you're studying Spanish," and then they're like, "Oh, what? You're learning Croatian?" That's probably not your friend anyway. So,
true.
Dip on that. Mark says, I would say keep in mind when to use the present simple as opposed to. Oh, this is for the English. But okay. I would say to keep in mind when to use present simple as opposed to progressive tense. Many people tend to use the progressive too much. And see, this is where I always think about. I'm not 100. I don't even, as an English speaker, I'm not 100% sure. I'm assuming like progressive is like. It's like the current, right? Like I am eating versus I eat or something like that.
Probably.
Mark is a lot smarter than me, so he's.
I know nothing about like linguistic stuff.
But I do know I get what he's saying though, because I do know a lot of times. For example, I was at a Chinese restaurant today. I ordered takeout from this place, and on the door it said "we hiring." Instead of like we are hiring, like, so there's some stuff like that, so I get where he's coming from, but I don't know exactly what he means, because I do know like present simple would be like I eat, and then progressive would be like I am eating, I guess. I don't know. Bailey's Language Corner says, I'm learning English. What are some manga or light novels that are also in English you'd recommend? What were your favorite books as a kid?
Favorite books as a kid, I read a lot of the 39 Clues books. They were good. But manga or light novels?
How old are you?
I'm 20.
Okay, so that's probably your generation's Goosebump books. Okay.
I also read Goosebumps though.
Okay.
I had some of those.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but manga and light novels, most manga are translated into English now, and there's a lot of like fan translations, which it's a fan translation, so I don't know if you want to read that, but it might still be helpful because it's kind of natural in English. Light novels, I recommend I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. I know there's an official English translation of that, and the book is really good.
Very nice.
I read that in Japanese.
Nice. The only manga that I've really ever read was like the first maybe 1 or 2 volumes of Death Note, like in English. Nice. But I'm always pimping these books out, man, because they're very easy, and I think they're easier than like everybody's like, oh, we should read Harry Potter, but like Harry Potter can get a little crazy, especially like
True.
Like 1, 2, and 3, I feel like are but like once you hit book 4, I feel like just crap gets real and it's
Yeah.
Man, the Percy Jackson books, man.
I read them as a kid. I don't remember much, but
they're very, very kid friendly, but like not like I'm 30 years old and I read them, so that they're plus I also enjoy it. Also interests me because it's, you know, around like Greek mythology and stuff, which I'm a huge fan of all that stuff. So
yeah,
and Goosebumps, you got to read Goosebumps, man.
Goosebumps is a classic.
That's the old person in me talking, but you got to read Goosebumps. Learning languages is a secret. Learning languages in secret is always fun. People are just like, you've been doing that? Oh yeah. So if I had friends who, like, let's say I had a friend who was French, being such a fan of language learning and kind of, especially you see all these videos, you know, your Lao Shu videos, your Xiaoma videos, your stuff where these people are, you know, shocking people and whatnot. I feel like I would, for the first couple of months, try to learn in secret and then just bust it out on them.
Then it'd be fun, you know?
And then try to have conversation with them and they get help. But I do think I would do that. Let's see. Kanji becomes so easy if you spend every day in Japanese. A lot of people don't, and then wonder why kanji doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. The more time you spend with it, the easier it gets.
Every time I open my phone, I follow so many Japanese people on Twitter now. Then every time I open Twitter, there's kanji. My phone's in Japanese, so like I can't escape kanji at this point. It's everywhere, so it's just another thing now.
Which is another. From where I watch so much wrestling, and like Japan has such a stronghold on wrestling. Like even in America, like a lot of the promotions that I watch, guys will have kanji and stuff on their gear, you know, because it's cool. It's, you know,
yeah.
But so I'll see it there. You might need to start immersing in English. Very true. 39 clues books are great. I might have to check those out. I'm always looking for stuff like generally I only read when I'm going to bed because I have like a very active mind. I can't, if I lay there, like if I lay, because my wife will wake up sometimes, she'll like, put your phone down and you'll go to sleep. And I'm like, but that'll, like, if I put my phone down and I'm just laying there, I can't go to sleep. Like,
I understand
my
that.
brain is going everywhere. I'm sure you guys can probably gather that just from the way that I conduct myself in these interviews and stuff. But like, my brain goes a million miles a minute. I am really enjoying nonfiction novels. That's interesting. Nonfiction always seems to have a huge fan base. Like, I feel like nonfiction fans are like love nonfiction, and then like fiction fans are like, I could take it, but like nonfiction fans like dig some nonfiction, especially like, I mean, like true crime novels and crap like that. I think they are easier to understand than fiction novels. Currently, I'm reading Benny Lewis Fluent in 3 Months in Chinese, and it's an easy read. Interesting. You know, on Link, Steve Kaufman, his book is in most of the languages on Link. So if you were studying,
nice.
If you're studying Chinese, for example, his book, I believe, is in Chinese in the Mandarin section. Like if you're into that kind of thing. Do you like Steve? I know that, again, you said that you were pretty much just in Japanese. So do you watch like Steve Kaufman or Benny or any of those guys, or do you?
I watch Steve Kaufman's videos every now and then. Like, I'm sub to him, but I don't watch every video. Sometimes like a Japanese related video will pop up and I'll watch that. But yeah, I don't normally watch any like language learning YouTubers besides like you. That's about it.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna even assume, I'm gonna pretend that you didn't say that just because you're on the show here either.
It was true, I promise.
Let's see. I hope this doesn't sound cheesy, but what kind of life skills or meta skills have you gained from learning Japanese?
Oh God. This isn't learning a new skill, but it's learned I'm terrible at time management. So I'm trying to get better at that, because there's a lot of, once you like start, because I track all my immersion time. Once you start doing that and you realize like, oh, I felt like I did a lot today, but I did 4 hours. Where are the other 20 hours of the day going besides sleep and like maybe like class? And that's not like a crazy amount of time. So I've really like begun to figure out like, oh, I waste a lot of time just doing absolutely nothing. So I guess that's a skill, realizing my fault.
That's when I saw Mark doing the language come up, doing the 40-hour 7-day language chat, like last year when he did it. That's when I started doing, because I did it, and I did 40 plus, and again, full-time job and a wife and a kid and stuff. Like I made the 40 hours kind of work for me, where half of it was like active and then half was passive. But regardless, the one thing that I loved about that, and people are always like, why track it? Why track it? And that's exactly it. Because if I see what I've done today and I'm like, how did I only get 30? Like, I feel like I watched like 40 Japanese YouTube videos. How did I only get 30 minutes of time? And like, know, somewhere, and I'm not saying that you wasted your time, but what do you want to put your time into? Because that's the thing. People all day will tell you can't learn Japanese unless you're spending 8 to 10 hours a day on it. That's nonsense. People will also tell you that if you spend 30 minutes a day, you can't learn Japanese. You can. It'll just take longer, and there's nothing wrong with that. But seeing how much time you waste, and I'm not meaning spending time with family or doing little side gigs, making a YouTube video, anything like that. I'm talking about sitting on the couch, watching TV. And if it's something you're interested in, cool. Yeah. But is it something that you love enough to not, like, for example, on Wednesday nights, I watch wrestling because I love wrestling. Big shocker, I know. But I know for a fact Wednesday night, I'm probably not going to have any immersion or any Japanese time, because I do value watching wrestling over learning Japanese on that specific day.
Yeah.
But I also know that if I can dedicate that 2 hours to that Japanese, or to that wrestling show, I absolutely could not watch wrestling and learn 2 hours of Japanese, but I'm also okay with sacrificing that 2 hours. So just, that was the thing I loved about the 40-hour challenge, was learning where my time was going versus, and that's why I tracked. And that's what I love about, in your video, I saw that you were talking about tracking it. And I was like, I really like that, because it shows you, if you track it, and you don't have to be religious with it, but I encourage everybody to just take a week and track what you're doing.
Yeah. And
then you can see what you're doing. If you're happy with that, the 40-hour thing, right? I mentioned it on Twitter, like, to me, and I'm not, it's Mark's baby, but to me, like, it's called 40-hour 7-day language challenge because that's kind of the, I don't want to say gimmick behind it, but that's the thing, like, that's the driving force of it. But the idea is just to simply get more study. If you only study 10 hours a week, try to get 15. You can still compete in the not compete, but you can still take part in the challenge. You don't have to get 40 hours. The idea, to me, is to simply get a little bit more, and then you can see where you're wasting time, and basically what you're putting above anything else. Yeah,
it's really helpful to track. It's probably I thought I was gonna get like really, really frustrated with it because I'm a perfectionist. So like if I see the number and then I'll get annoyed the next day if it was less. But I'm at the point now where I don't care about the number too much. I just want to see my overall number go up. If that goes up, I'm fine with it. So that's basically all I aim for.
Absolutely. What is Japanese Twitter like? I haven't really checked it out apart from like Yoshi P. I heard they're pretty cautious of English people.
I follow. So when I watch Japanese YouTube, I like manga, obviously, and so I watch like a lot of like just manga YouTubers, and so that's most of the Japanese people I follow are either like manga YouTubers or
like people that review manga.
Not necessarily reviewing, just like showing off like their bookshelf or like talking about new manga they buy, stuff like that. Gotcha. For some reason, I really enjoy that.
I watch an English chick do that about English books, so I know I get the sensation behind it. I fully understand.
I mainly follow them and like musicians, but funny enough, like most of the Japanese like manga YouTubers, when I follow them, I guess they see that I am learning Japanese in my bio, and they almost always follow back. Like it's weird the amount of Japanese people who follow me just because I followed them. I don't think they're cautious, but I guess it depends.
Yeah, well, I know that there's like it's not even that they're cautious, but I think with Japanese, I think it's harder to get reactions or people to talk because the Japanese people, it's so common. Like if you think of someone learning an Asian language, I would wager 9 out of 10 times the person is going to think that if you say I'm learning an Asian language, 9 out of 10 times the person's going to be like, you're learning Japanese. Like, and it's because of the culture. It's because of their export of media and everything else there. So I think they're so used to it that it's kind of like if you go into a store here and speak Spanish, they would just speak to you in Spanish, and it wouldn't be like, oh, wow, you're learning Spanish. Cool. Like, even being, you know, a white dude or whatever it is, you know, it's still so common for foreigners, if you're learning a language, for Japanese to be, you know, it's not like a giant shock to them anymore. So, another question: what does immersion mean? How much comprehension should you understand for it? I'm assuming to count as immersion, if that makes sense. Yeah, count as okay.
Well, for me, immersion's just like time spent in Japanese. So reading books, watching anime. That's basically it. When I count my time, I can actually say the full number because I have it. But I have 614 hours of immersion. But that's only audio. I count like books and like, I just say like one book or whatever. So I'm at like 7 light novels or novels, 240 volumes of manga, and 614 hours of like listening since I started 10 months ago. And that's basically everything I count as immersion. I don't count like reading like Twitter, or if I like bring up a news article and it's in Japanese, I don't count that. I just mainly count just like things I watch and things I read that are like dense, and that's basically it.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much immersion. I mean, immersion can honestly be whatever you consider it. You could argue that using Duolingo for 5 minutes is immersion because you're practicing reading. When I would count my time, I didn't count. I counted that as active study, but I did not count that as part of immersion. And I agree. I think that anything with audio and visual specifically to me is I mean, because that's what it is. Reading is as well. But I mean, really, it's kind of like I wouldn't say sitting down with a copy of Genki is immersion, because you're more so actively studying. You're seeing examples and you're reading, but there's still a ton of English and, you know, stuff like that. And then, which I guess would be the argument against Duolingo as well, is because you see that, you see the translation, but just time spent in the target language, I think would be one of the better ways to word that. Just time spent in, and not time spent, time where you're actually as if you were in Japan.
Yeah, anytime I'm like interacting with native Japanese, I'll count it as immersion, even if I don't write it down. Like when I'm like messaging that girl or calling her on the phone, I'm not like, we once had a 7-hour phone call. I'm not counting 7 hours as immersion, but I know that like I've talked to them for that long. So it just depends on what you want to count if you're saving it. But immersion's really just getting in touch with the language. That's basically it.
Yep. I've heard it's mostly in the art community, I guess.
I can see that.
I mean, that's English art communities can be that way towards people. I mean, I guess every community has its little thing. In one interview, you said your favorite category of languages are Slavic languages. In this interview, it became Scandinavian. What made you change? I think it just kind of changes. It's just kind of what I'm into at the moment. And I think especially, and I know that Icelandic is not Scandinavian, but I think just being kind of Nordic and things like that, and plus, again, just really wanting to go to kind of that whole area has made me look into it. And I don't know, I just really enjoy it. I still love Slavic languages. I think they're really, really great. It's just at the current point I'm at in my life with what I'm doing and things like that. Like if I was going to learn another language, it would probably be something from that general area, that European. I mean, realistically, anything from, you know, Iceland, Sweden, Norway, Finland, maybe even down into Estonia. I know that's not all Scandinavian, but just that general area. So, but yeah, just, I mean, change of the, I don't know, flavor of the month. If you guys plan on going to Japan, when would you go?
I'm planning on going next year in May. I want to go at least once next year. I'm a big fan of Yoasobi, the band group. But if they have like a live concert next year, assuming Corona's calmed down and everything, I want to go for that, definitely. But I'm planning on going with friends in May at least. So I'll be in Japan at least once next year.
Heck yeah, man. I'm just waiting for it to open. Like, as soon as they're like, we're open, I'm like, cool, let's go because I've mentioned it before, but I'm very, very fortunate. I don't have to worry about like stay over there. I have a friend that lives in Japan, so I don't have to worry about like hotel costs and
That's nice.
and stuff like that. So obviously the flight over there still, especially being on the eastern side of the United States, like if you were even in like Chicago and then over to LA, it'd be a lot cheaper. But I don't know where you're at in Pennsylvania you are, but I presume you'd probably have to
East Coast of Pennsylvania.
You'd probably have to be. I would assume probably go to like New York or Philadelphia to fly out.
Philadelphia, yeah.
Philadelphia, yeah. And then so it's for me, I would have to go to Washington D.C. because it's the only airport that's really going to take anywhere. But from where it's on the east side of the or east coast of the United States versus west, like it's so much more expensive. But again, alleviating some of that cost of not having to have a place to stay. I don't know if you're looking into it, you should look into. There's an app for your phone called Hopper. And you plug in the date or you plug in where you want to go, and it pops up a map for like the entire year, and it actually is color coded based on what days are the cheapest to go because it plans it takes out like holidays into consideration and all that stuff, and
that's nice.
It's pretty rad.
Sick. I'll have to check that out.
Yep. For me though, yeah, it's not necessarily a plan of like this time of year would be great. It's more of a when the borders open, I'm out. I'll see you. So that's my plan. So maybe not until I get back from Iceland, but hopefully, because I've already got that kind of set in motion. So I can't.
Yeah, that seemed like it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped about that. So maybe later in the year though. Plus, I'm hoping with countries seeing how Iceland is, I'm hoping that they're like, oh man, so Iceland opened up because like Iceland, their COVID cases have not raised. Like it's still been pretty standard 7-day. I can tell you what the 7-day average is right now. COVID, all right, it's not much. Like the last time I checked, it was like, here we go, United States. Let's go to Eastland School. Where's Iceland at? There we go. The rolling 7-day average for Iceland. Okay, you ready for this? This is going to probably shatter your, because the county that I live in is more than this.
Oh, boy.
In Iceland, their rolling 7-day average, so the average cases for the last 7 days is 3.
That sucks to hear as an American. It's like, oh my god, why can't we be like that?
Yeah, the county that I live in will have more than that. So,
honestly,
granted, the argument is there's a lot less people, but if you have the same amount of anyway, so 3. So they've opened the borders to people who are vaccinated, and
nice.
their cases are not going up. So I'm hoping that other countries take a power just flicker. I'm hoping other countries take. And again, the thing is, so like I've seen people like I made that video about wanting to travel, and there was a comment that was like, "Oh, is it just me, or is there something in the air, like that kind of thing?" But the thing is, just because I am vaccinated, whether or not you believe in that or not, that's not the argument here. What I'm saying is, if I am, that doesn't mean I'm going to travel like an idiot. Like I'm still going to be as safe as possible. I'm not staying directly in the city around a ton of people. I'm probably not even going to be in the city that much, to be honest. I'm probably going to be touring freaking Iceland because that's where I'm going to be. Like I want to see all the awesome stuff there. But like I'm still going to stay away from people, and like I'll wear my mask. Like I don't care. Like whatever I need to do to stay safe, keep them safe and feeling comfortable, then that's what I'll do. Like it's not a big deal. So I'm hoping that other countries can see that and be like, yeah, cool, let's do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a tangent. Sorry. Top 5 manga you've read so far.
All right. I have my list up right now. Okay. Number 1.
You rank them like as you go through them, like how you like them?
No, I've given one a score, and it's because it's my favorite of all time, and it is a 10, and I will never rank anything else.
Whoa.
It's absolute, like objectively it's trash. Like it's not great, but I love it. Number 1, Domestic Girlfriend. If any of you have heard of Domestic Girlfriend, you know what it's about. It's there. I don't want to go into it. It's trashy, really bad. But if you're interested, I recommend looking it up. That's number one. Domestic Girlfriend, really good. Chainsaw Man, also really good.
I want to read. That's one thing I want to read. I actually stumbled across that on accident looking for something.
Mhm.
And just based on the type of movies and stuff I like, I just saw the title and I was like, okay, Chainsaw Man is something I would read.
Chainsaw Man's really good. I really enjoyed it. I'm a big fan of Oshimi Shuzo. So Akuno Hana. That was the first series I actually read in Japanese. Flowers of Evil. So that's 3. Big fan of Karakai Jozu no Takagi-san. That's very easy slice of life that I think is probably one of the easiest series to start out with. Everyone recommends Yotsuba, but I think that one's actually way easier and better. And I'm not done with it, but I watched the anime and I'm currently on volume 7 of the manga, but Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer has been really good.
I know tons of people love some Demon Slayer. If you like trash, man, have you ever watched any like trauma film, like Toxic Avenger or anything like that?
Mm-mm.
It's trash, and I mean that in the best way possible. Like it's like some of my favorite stuff ever. So if
I'd probably enjoy it.
It's like super cheesy. Like I can't even explain it. As a matter of fact, in Toxic Avenger 2, they go to Japan.
Ooh.
And it's a Japanese girl as like the main, and they just had somebody dub over her voice in like post production. That's incredible. Oh, it's fantastic. You should definitely if you like trash, man, I can set you up with tons of awesome like trash movies. So Icelandic is not comprehensible to me, and I'm a native Danish speaker. It's like modern version of Viking. Yeah, I think Icelandic is actually the closest language currently like actively spoken. It's the closest to like Old Norse. Like I think sick. I think it's like the closest. Yasuba makes great music.
Big fan.
Yasobi, I should say. I've read that entirely wrong because promise me one thing: when you guys do go to Japan, make sure to post a video in the country. Yeah, I'm gonna be anytime I travel anywhere, I'm gonna be documenting it. Not while I'm there for like safety reasons and stuff, but I'll be recording. Like when I go to Iceland, I'm recording it. When I go to Mexico, I'll be recording it. When I go any of these places, I'll be recording it. So because I think it kind of goes hand in hand. Like my channel is about languages and culture. Well, and language leads into culture. So I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that people and maybe not, but I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that people will enjoy because it's still in the realm of culture and there will be language involved and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll be documenting all that stuff.
Yeah, I want to document if I go to Japan as well.
And I've experienced, like I ran another channel where I vlogged for over 650 days in a row. So I have like I don't want to say I perfected the craft, but like it's not going to be as awkward for me being like, oh my God, what do I do? Because I did it for almost 2 straight years. Yeah. So like literally every day I did it. Like even when my wife had a baby, like I uploaded a video from the hospital. So obviously just talking, not sure, but like, you know, just like, so, document your time here. Just stop by to say what's up. I'll give Jordan in the morning. Jordan is a great dude. Thank you for, he's probably gone at this point, but thanks for stopping by. If you're watching this tomorrow, Jordan, Tiger is a man of culture. I see.
Domestic Girlfriend is culture. It's the peak of culture.
Domestic Girlfriend is a masterpiece. Is Domestic Girlfriend is it an anime?
Yeah, there's an anime, but the manga's way better.
Is it like I feel like I would enjoy it, but I feel like from where I already struggle with the idea of reading, I feel like I would have an easier time because if it's trash, like I'm like you saying that, and I don't know if you mean the same kind of trash that I'm meaning, but like I love independent like B horror, just trash like.
It can kind of fit into that. It's mainly like degenerate sexual trash as well. That's
literally thing. If you tell me that, I'm absolutely in. Under no circumstance. Like I'm trying to see if I can find. I should have it in here, dude. Like one of my favorite movies ever is a movie called Street Trash. It's literally called Street Trash, and it's about somebody makes this serum that when you drink it, it just melts your body. And I could have swore that I had it in here. I was gonna go get it to show you the box art because it's like just super. I mean, just like gory nonsense. There's also some really weird stuff in the movie. Like, I don't want to not be monetized on YouTube here, but basically, to give you an example, in Street Trash, they're in this junkyard and it's a ton of homeless people, and this guy's like peeing outside, and someone cuts part of this guy off, and they then proceed to start playing Monkey in the Middle, like with him trying to get himself back.
Of course.
Just, I love trash, man. Like that's what I grew up on. I grew up watching just absolute, and I say trash, like when I'm saying trash, I don't mean like, I mean like that's just the entertainment. I enjoy that people wanted to make it. It wasn't about this big budget. It wasn't about any of this stuff. It was some dude who wanted to have fun making a movie. And those always tell way better stories than any of the crap that you can see, because it was done for the passion of the project.
Yeah, because they wanted to do it and have fun.
Yep. Anyway, watch Street Trash, everybody. That's the goal here. But that makes me want to watch Domestic Girlfriend because I love trash.
It's something. Fun thing about it though, after I finished the manga, I was destroyed emotionally. But I love the series so much. I like tweeted about it. I tweeted it in Japanese and I like added the author, and she liked my tweet, and that's probably my favorite thing in the entire world. The fact that she saw my tweet and liked it, I'm like, she knows I exist now. Thank God.
Yeah, that's rad, man. That's a cool feeling.
I love that series,
especially in a different language, man. Like yeah, that's really cool. No, I'm gonna have to check it out. How is
something?
See, I know that you said it was like trash, like sexual stuff. Like in regards of on a scale of like 0 to like Kevin Smith, like how?
Well, I can tell you a quick synopsis, and you'll be able to figure it out from that. Basically, guy likes his teacher, then his dad ends up remarrying the teacher's mother. So they become step siblings, and turns out the other sister of the teacher is the girl he had sex with for the first time. And it basically becomes a love triangle plus love square, love. Okay. It's a whole thing.
All right. I did not know. I don't think I knew that Japan produced that kind of quality content, but now I'm going to be seeking this out because that sounds something. I will watch that like all day. Is this? I'm jumping ahead here, and I don't mean to. But is this anime or hentai? I think it's still anime, but
it's an anime. But the manga definitely is all uncensored. If that's what you if that's what you want.
Let me see. What chairs do you guys sit on? I'm looking. This will be way more for you. I'll show you the chair I sit on. It's
my chair right now is my dorm chair, and it's just like a garbage wood chair. But at home, I have like a gaming chair. But I mean, probably best to just get an office chair. That's probably the best. That's
absolutely the same, dude. I'm literally sitting on a wooden. You can hear it. Do you hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I sit on. It's because I don't sit here a lot. I sit here for my interviews and stuff like that, but I don't like if I'm quote unquote immersing. Now I need to change this because part of the reason is I'll just watch it on my TV, but I can't. It's harder for me to do sentence mining whilst doing that, so I probably need to look into something too. But Journey to Fluency says, I have a pretty good idea of Seabolt's long-term goal in a prior video of his. What is your short-term and long-term goals for the language, Tiger?
Oh God. Short term, just keep getting better. I'm at the point. I don't like saying it because it makes me feel like I'm lying, but I don't think I am. I read a lot of slice of life and like romance stuff, and that's like kind of the easiest you're gonna get in the language. I was reading Horimiya recently, and I was on volume 4 or whatever, and I think I read the whole volume, and there were like less than 5 unknown words in the entire volume. So I'm trying to make a transition into more like shonen or seinen to start getting more vocabulary, because I'm at the point where everything I want to read is like, if there's new words, it's like I don't need to learn it, or I can pick it up from context if I see it enough. So short-term goal is definitely just go into more like adult type media and read a lot more like novels. I haven't read too much. I'm only at 7. That's short-term. Long-term, man, I just want to get really good, like really good. I don't know how good that is, but I just want to keep doing this until I feel like I have a really good like grasp of Japanese in like whatever I want to pick up. Like go to the library in Japan, pick up a book, can read it without too much of an issue. That's kind of where I want to be. It's a big goal, but I'm in it.
You should read Battle Royale.
I want to.
Yeah, I have it. I have the English book of it, and I read it, and it was awesome. But I'd love to read it in Japanese, but I feel like it would be just a touch past my level right now. So interesting. Do you know how that book came about, or anything?
I just know like the premise of it, and that's it.
He wrote it, and he finished second in a like national competition, and then it got picked up, and it's become one of the biggest phenomenons out there.
I wonder what got first then.
And yeah, dude, I don't know. But that's the only thing he's ever done. He's never wrote another book or any. Yeah, and I'm just like, come on, dude. We're 22 years past Battle Royale. What are we doing here? So
definitely more talent in there then.
Yeah, I would love to know what the first place book was. Like I envision like, I mean, they're not the same thing, but like to me, Battle Royale is like the pinnacle of Japanese, and that's just because like I know of it, you know what I mean? But like I envision like that would be the same thing as like Stephen King like writing The Shining and like it not winning first place at like some like I don't know horror convention, you know what I mean?
And then him never writing again.
Yeah, and then he's just like, all right, screw it, I'm done. So it's really weird, man.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I don't honestly know much about other Japanese because again, I'm not really big into reading, but like I don't really know about any other kind of. I know that's a book because I love it, but I really don't know much else about their like author culture in Japan.
Yeah, I just basically go on like Amazon Japan and I'll like look up like shousetsu for novel, or I'll look up light novel and I'll just pick whatever covers look nice. If something looks like interesting, I'll pick that and then read it. I don't know anything about like who's good or anything like that.
Have you read any like books that are translated from English to Japanese?
Not at all. I read a lot as a kid, but never outside of like 39 Clues, Hunger Games, stuff like that.
Yeah. You find it I'm assuming with reading 240 novel manga, but like I'm assuming you have an easier time reading that. Do you think, I'm not meaning this in any way, shape, or form because this is literally how I think, but is it like from where there's pictures to kind of help carry the story along and stuff? It's
also the nice thing about manga is because one volume is normally only like 200 pages, and depending on like the type of story, some pages might have no dialogue, some pages might have a lot. So reading manga is just easier to digest because, like you said, you have the pictures, but also there's not nearly as much text. So going into like raw text novels, unless like sometimes I'm in the mood and I'm like, all right, I want to read like a novel right now. But if I'm not, it takes a lot more energy to like push myself to do it because I know I have to visualize in my brain what's happening. There's going to be a lot of kanji I don't know because there's novel words and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, and I've actually, I know that like written Japanese from spoken Japanese, I think is not unintelligible, but like I think it's pretty different. Yeah, there's a lot, like getting good at like listening to Japanese, like everyday speech is really not that bad. Like, but then going into like when I read I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, there were a lot of words that I would look up in the dictionary and I was like, you could use like so many other easy things to say this, but because it's a novel, you need to be all fancy and use this specific word. So I guess it's reading is like in English. Yeah. Yeah. Where they're like, oh man, saying bad here doesn't make sense. Let's go to thesaurus. And they're like, all right, yep. We're gonna bust out this word. Let's see. Battle Royale is the prequel to Hunger Games. No. I don't dislike Hunger Games, but yeah. How are you balancing easier materials with more difficult materials? Or do you just do what's fun? I feel guilty when immersing in easier material. That's a great question. It really depends. Like I mentioned how slice of life stuff's getting too easy now. I do feel a little guilty when I read it, but if I'm enjoying it, I'm kind of just like, I'll do it. I'll get to harder stuff later. Plus, even if you're just reading Japanese or whatever language, you're going to get better even if it's like the easier stuff, as long as there's certain things that you're not fully 100% good on. So it's not like reading something easy is not going to like set you back
it might not set you forward as much as like reading something harder, but I try not to feel guilty about it. But with difficult materials, I'm starting to move into it more. I have to go back to the Monogatari series. I started watching it, watched the first 5 episodes. Was not that hard, surprisingly. I did have Japanese subtitles, so that might have changed it. But other than that, I'm just do what's fun. And if you feel like you do get stuck because you're only doing easier stuff, then try to move into harder stuff. But if you don't feel stuck, I mean, just do what's fun. If it's easy, it's easy.
Yeah, like I think, and it kind of goes into the reason that like immersion can be important, and that is watch stuff that you're interested in. Because if you're going into, like, for example, like I would never watch Japan's equivalent to like Chicago Fire. Like,
yeah, same.
Because I don't watch it in English. So like specifically moving into an area just because it's a little bit more difficult. Like I get wanting to learn some of the vocabulary, but honestly, if you're not going to watch it ever, I mean,
don't worry about it then.
Don't worry about it.
There's going to be some harder materials that you do want to learn, like use. So do stuff like that. Like when I was getting stuck, I was like, what's a harder like manga that I can read? And Demon Slayer is not that hard, but I was like, Demon Slayer will have new words that I don't know, and I want to read it anyway. So I'll just read that. So it doesn't feel like I'm forcing myself.
Right. Yeah, because it's something that you enjoy. So you're going to that, and that's the thing too. And you can learn those words for Chicago Fire or Chicago, whatever. I don't know why I'm using that as an example, but like you can learn those words in other things, and then if you go to it, you'd probably be good. It's just because if you're watching it just because you want it to be difficult, you're not going to retain as much information because you're hating your life anyway.
Yeah, you won't care as much.
So, like for me, for example, just to use fire, if I'm watching a deathmatch tournament in Japan and someone sets a table on fire, I'll learn the word fire much more quickly than watching, firefighters do whatever it is that they're doing. So, just as an example. That's tight that you want to take it to a high level for both of you guys. Do you prefer reading over listening in terms of enjoyment? Lord, no, I don't. And what does speaking look like in the distant future? Go ahead. Yeah, you can answer the question about reading.
I love reading. Like I read a lot as a kid, and then I stopped when I got like around high school. But Japanese is like reignited my love for reading. So I definitely enjoy it way more than listening. Listening's still fun, but there were points where I had to like force myself to like watch TV because I was just reading like 3 or 4 volumes of manga in a day and not watching any anime or anything. So I definitely like reading over listening.
I always want to get into it, man, but I honestly think that it's just because of the content. And the thing is, like, I do, I'll read Harry Potter and stuff like that in English, but like I'm not an avid reader. And then when people are like, well, manga's easier, again, it's the connection to anime where I'm like, well, I don't really care for anime. So, so I definitely enjoy watching, watching stuff over. Yeah.
I'm definitely lucky that I enjoy anime and manga as much as I do, because I think Matt said it in a video that like if you enjoy like anime or manga, like you have a fast track to fluency in Japanese. Like you're never running out of content to read or watch.
And that's honestly where I struggle a little bit too, because like anytime I'm like, oh man, I want to watch something, I'm like, well, time to watch Kentaro again, and it's because like, I don't know, like I could watch like what is that show called? Midnight Diner. Like they have like that. Like I do love live action stuff. And the problem is I don't want to sit down and watch a movie. I honestly don't have a lot of time to do that. And so a 30-minute show, an hour show is kind of pushing it, but I can still kind of get through it. But like, I don't know. I've said it for a year, but I just need to suck it up and not suck it up, but there's got to be an anime that I would like. That's what I'll say.
There's definitely at least one out there.
So, and honestly, whatever it was about the girl, whatever, that sounds like it could be at least
domestic girlfriend.
Yeah, that could be a path too. So let's see. Do you read manga on a Kindle or PC? And if you use a Kindle, can you look up words by touching the word? Just asking because I just got a Kindle and was wondering. I think you can install it for it. Use it on PC.
Everything on PC. How do I say this? I like to sail the seas sometimes, so I can get everything on PC that I want. And
do you still have to what is it called? Like the DRM, DCM? I literally know nothing about
like the technology. OCR readers or whatever. Like where you can like take a picture of it and it translates the picture to text, like that stuff.
No, like where like if you were to buy if you were to
Oh, like DRM.
yeah.
Most things that I get are all just like direct scans into PNGs, so I can just open that up.
Whatever. So how do you go about looking up words on that?
Since a lot of manga has furigana, I have two monitors. One monitor has manga, the other one is like half dictionary, half Anki card, and then I just put it in the dictionary, take a screenshot, do whatever. If there's no furigana, I usually just don't look up words, but sometimes you probably come across this too before. You'll see like a word, it might not have furigana, but you know both kanjis in other words. It's like, oh, I know this is iku, I know this is like another word, and you're like, oh, okay, and you can just type those and delete the excess characters. That's what I'll do if I have to look up something that I need to. But
honestly, it's probably good, because the thing that I've known, especially like, I know that, you know, obviously I'm a big enjoyer of Link, but the problem is, it would be the same thing if you imported that. The way that Japanese is parsed, it's not always going to actually be like, if you click on a word to look it up, it's not going to, like, there's times when it's not actually, it's going to end too early, or it's going to include too much of the end of the word, to where you're not actually going to get the correct meaning because it's parsed incorrectly. So you got to be careful with that. But I know as far as a Kindle, I think you can install or some kind of program. Basically, I think it's literally just a dictionary, and you can click on it. And I'm
not sure how manga works on a Kindle, but I know with like novels and stuff, you can just like tap on words and stuff and get dictionary definitions.
I think a good bet for you on that. I'm pretty sure Luke Truman does some stuff on Kindle. He studies Chinese, but he could probably still help. I think he reads stuff on his Kindle. I hope I'm not incorrect. Luke Truman, I think his Twitter is like full-time fluency. I bet if you ask him, he could probably help a little bit more with that, because I don't know. I don't even have a Kindle. The books that I read on Kindle, I read on my phone.
Yeah, that's what I do.
So
if I buy anything from Amazon Japan and I buy the Kindle version, I just read it on like the Kindle desktop app.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I didn't even think about that, actually. I bet if you did it on PC, man, I bet there's all kinds of crap you can add onto it for PC.
Yeah,
to make it,
it's really nice.
To make it rock. I need to get on that.
I'm in like a nice workflow with like sentence mining now. Like at first it was really slow, and I was like, I don't know how to do this. But now it's like I can make a card in like 10 seconds. So I just do it while I'm reading. I'll just make a card, and I only make cards while reading. I don't make any cards while listening ever.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, like, you have the cards without audio?
Yeah, no audio. People probably don't think that's a great idea, but it's worked out enough so far. So
I mean, it seems that's really, really interesting to hear, because like I've always thought, like, if I get something and I can learn to read it, but I can't hear it, and then somebody says it, and I'm gonna be like, I don't know, like I like the aspect of having both at the same time, like reading it and listening to it, just so I can like. I don't know, just have it sink into, listening and reading. So that's really, really interesting. How do you do? I know you said you do 10 words a day, but do you make more cards than that, or do you just kind of stop?
I try not to make more than like 3 or 4 over, because I had a major problem at the start of this year. Like going into 2021, I was like, I want to make 10 cards every single day, but I had like 130 card backlog, and that's nice. Because it's like, oh, I have like 13 days of cards. But the issue is those cards were made like months ago at that point. So it's like, you don't lose the context, but it's not as easy to remember as a card that you make that day and then learn that day as well. So I try to only make like between 10 and 15 cards a day if I want to go over 10.
Yeah, that makes sense. I do think that there's definitely some issue with sentence mining where you're so, because you're like, I know this is a +1 sentence or whatever, but it's like at some point too much is too much, because then you come back to it and you probably forget some of it or whatever. Like I thought the same thing, like I made this card 6 months ago, what am I doing?
Yeah, so I try to just sometimes, like if I know like the next day I'm not going to be able to read, I'll try to make 20 the day before, or like get close to 20. But yeah, normally it's like 10 to 15. I don't want to go too much over.
Yeah, no, that's not bad. It's not too bad at all. I don't know, if I could get into reading, I feel like That'd be a solid idea, but
It's nice.
I feel like that's. I've tried to do some of the stuff on like the manga on bilingual manga, but I don't know, man. It's just something about the way that it's written, and it's in very shorthand Japanese a lot too. And because I guess it's for younger generations or whatnot. But like, man, I just find it incredibly hard to like sift through what's going on and like just the way that the words are written. I don't know, man. It's really weird.
No, I get that. The beginning. Oh my god, trying to read manga at the beginning was pain. There's this one series I like, Ijiranai de Nagatoro-san, and I read the first volume within my first week of immersing, and it probably took me 3 or 4 days to get through it. And it's like a very simple slice of life. And now I recently read volume 10 in like 45 minutes.
Whoa.
And so it's like the problem with it is like you just got to get into it and keep going.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the beginning it sucks.
So what do you do? Like, I know that obviously with pandemics and stuff, people aren't doing as much, but like, well, crap, you didn't start doing this until after the pandemic had started. So
yeah,
I was going to say, what, like, are you sacrificing anything to study Japanese more or?
kind of, my grades aren't suffering, but like the amount of time I pay attention to school is definitely suffering. I still do everything and I get fine grades, but I'm definitely not putting as much effort into it as I could.
Right.
Most of it's going to Japanese. Probably bad, but it's working out.
Yeah, if it's as long as you're not like actively hurting yourself in terms of stuff like that. Because the thing that would suck is to get so good at Japanese, pass the JLPT in one, but fail college.
Exactly. And it's like, what was the point?
Yeah, because I'm not 100% sure, but I think that to work there, I think you have to have some sort of degree.
Yeah, they look for it. Just a degree in anything so that they know that you're like a real adult.
Yeah. That's the most Japanese thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, Japan.
That's so funny. So, well, hey, listen, I'm going to, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. I'll stay on for another couple minutes, but we'll start wrapping up here. Right. I'm super, super happy to be back. Thank you for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun. It's
been super, super fun. I'm excited to get these rolling again, man, because and honestly, this right here, once I stopped doing interviews, I noticed it was like it kind of started swaying my motivation a little bit. Like talking to people, man, like really, I think can help motivate and hopefully for anybody listening and whatnot, hopefully it can motivate you guys. No matter what language, it doesn't have to be Japanese. So it can be whatever language. Like just hearing people talk about the way they learn, things that they do, stuff like that.
Gives you new ideas on what you can do as well.
Oh yeah. Like I'm very blown away that which I mean, I know like Eric that uses Link, he's always like, that's literally all he does is read, but like, it's still, it's interesting to me to hear that you read and specifically make cards, but only with like written text. That's really, really interesting. And I think when you do that, do you put the furigana on the card or do you just use the card?
No, it's the sentence is all kanji. In the definition, it'll have the reading, but yeah, the sentence is all just kanji. I don't worry about furigana.
So if the kanji, I guess also knowing the kanji would be in your +1 criteria of whether or not you would make the card in the first place. Yeah,
it depends. Sometimes I'm like, I've never seen this before, but I mean, the word seems easy enough. I'll just do it.
That makes sense, actually. So, is there anything in closing that you want to say, or anything that you want to chat about prior to going?
I don't know. I think probably if I could give any advice to people, just don't stop. That's probably number one. Just keep going and do what's fun. Yeah. That's basically it. That's all I've been doing up until this point. Everything I've done is just because it was fun. If something was boring, I skipped and went to something else. And that's like evidenced by like my anime list on AniList. Like I've started like 80 shows and I've only finished like 70. But that's because if it gets boring an episode or two in, I'm out and I'm going to something new.
Well, because obviously the idea would be, or ideal situation would be being in Japan to where you would be around it all the time. But since we're not, and we have to make the most of the time that we immerse in the language and stuff like that, you need to, it's got to count. Like you don't want to have 3 hours of like, well, that was stupid. Because like 3 hours of, well, I hated that is way less effective than an hour of just absolute enjoyment.
Yeah, that's definitely true. When I like don't like something, I can tell my brain wanders and I'm not like picking up anything.
Yeah.
Like I'll finish an episode, I'll be like, "What even happened?" I know I watched it, but I don't know what anything happened.
Yep. I get that because that happens to me in English literally every day, it seems like. So cool. Hey, man, I'm going to end. That was an hour and 45 minutes. So nice little get back into the scheme of things here. So I'm going to end this stream. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I know it's kind of died off towards the end here, but that always happens. And then people usually come back and listen because it's kind of hard to just dedicate an hour and 45 minutes to straight listening to people talk at the time. So, but thanks everybody for watching / listening, whatever you're doing. I'm going to figure out what's wrong with my camera, even if I have to do it with OBS next time, try to figure out what in God's name's happening there. But yeah, in closing, man, go check out Tiger's stuff. There's the dad and go, hey, Tiger, go check out Tiger's stuff there. It's linked in the description below, Twitter and YouTube. He has. Are you going to make a 10-month anniversary or 10-month anniversary? Jeez. 10 month.
Okay. I'm just gonna do it at the year mark and then probably wait till the 18th month mark after that. If people want like more like consistent updates from me, definitely follow my Twitter. I tweet about I'll tweet like random things that aren't Japanese related, but there's a lot of like Japanese related stuff that I tweet about.
Cool. There you go. So go check out the Twitter for sure, and follow his Facebook. Follow, subscribe on YouTube, whatever you crazy kids are calling things these days. So, all right, cool. I'm going to end the stream. Thanks everybody for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next stream.